Everything else good?
I'm not that good at it.
Okay.
I'll do it on my phone. I have that playoff match.
Gotcha.
Alrighty, welcome Derby fans, and thank you for joining us. We are live at Track 2 at the Big O 2017, live from glorious and cosmopolitan Eugene, Oregon. I am Mike Chex alongside Bob Noxious.
Hey Mike, we got a great game in store for us here. As we've got Sydney from, of course, the Sydney Assassins from Sydney, Australia, stepping up against Finland's very own Helsinki team.
And we are about to get this underway.
Right now it's going to be Brad Pitt stepping up on the line against Taru Saxelin. And Taru with an easy inside lane. She's going to be your lead jammer.
Just a few seconds taken off the clock. Lead jammer quickly going to Helsinki.
And at this point, Brad Pitt is through the pack. Saxelin with a nice inside move, going to tight rope the inside line, call off the jam. She's going to hit that, quit that. That's 4 points. And if my math teacher once told me 4 is more than 0.
Early lead for Helsinki. Sydney held scoreless in the first jam. Sydney sending out Murder Maid to jam. Opposite number 22, Malu.
And with 5 seconds before the start, we're going to see the triangle blocking up front. They're going to try and trap Mayu. Mayu's going to dart to the outside. In the meantime, we've got Murder Maid looking for some room on the inside. She's going to get called. She's going to have to, no, I'm sorry, that's one of the blockers, the pivot's going to have to sit down. And there we have Mayu. She's going to be your lead jammer.
Slayer Kinney to the penalty box for Sydney.
Mayu going to tiptoe that outside line. Little Walenda in that girl, and she's going to pull a 5.
Helsinki losing a blocker to the penalty box. That's number 94, Tina Kamari.
Nice block by number 53, Juicy Vengeance for the Assassins. That'll send Mayu back to recycle.
Still the initial pass for Sydney.
Mayu going to work herself through. That's going to be the second Grand Slam. As she's on a 10-0 run.
She's heating up.
And Murder Maid finally through the pack.
Completion of the 4-point scoring pass and jam called off by Helsinki. 14 points on that jam. Your score on the board, 18-0 in favor of Helsinki.
Stepping up right now for Helsinki, we have Mayu Rinne, and she will jam against number 288. That's going to be Shakram of the Sydney Assassins. Of course, Helsinki in the green and gold. We've got Sydney in the black and red, and there you see Rinne out through the pack quite quickly, and she's your lead jammer.
3 lead jams in a row for Helsinki to open up this game.
Shakram now through. Also available to make her scoring pass. Rinne going to make the full 4 points. And with that, she'll quit. She'll hit it, quit it. That's 4-0 run. Helsinki.
22-0 in favor of Helsinki. 26 minutes, 55 seconds left in the first half.
Helsinki will field Kujala this time. And we're going to see number 89 out there as well. That is Brad Pitt. I'll tell you, Mike, I'm from Wisconsin. It's very hard not to say brat.
That is fair. This is Brad Pitt's second turn to the jam line for Sydney this game.
Brad Pitt up to the front triangle very quickly, but not quick enough, as we're going to see number 24, Kujala, out as lead jammer.
Slayer Kinney back to the penalty box for Sydney.
And Kujala is going to, that's going to be goose eggs all the way around. She's not going to pull any points on that. She will call a jam to prevent Sydney from scoring.
So still 22-0 the score.
Taro Saxaline, perennial Team Finland player. And she'll be up against number 4, Murder Maid. And Taru outside. Looked like she had some room on the inside to cut into. Didn't take it. Is going to get pushed out of bounds, and she's going to cut the track.
First jammer penalty of this game, courtesy of Helsinki. Power jam now for Sydney.
Sydney now with a full squad out on the track. And Murder Maid trying to work her way through the front. That Helsinki defense recycling itself very quickly.
Juicy Vengeance was up playing offense, now trying to keep a goat pen in the back of the pack.
You see the work there of Reiku as well as Yannicka Saxaline.
What a great penalty kill by Helsinki. Lead jammer now finally established for Sydney, their first in this game.
Murder Maid able to take them out to the 20-foot zone of engagement. They had to let her go. And Murder Maid on her passing run.
Yep, initial pass cleared by Helsinki. Jam called off and did get called off just in time. 4 points picked up on that scoring pass. Helsinki held scoreless. Second jam in a row.
And if it's not hard enough to pull some points in this game, to have one of your teammates sit on you at the very end. I'm not a chair. Mayu going to step up against number 288. That's going to be Shakram. Sydney's triangle defense has really played quite well all weekend long. They've had a much harder time in initiating any kind of offensive blocking to get their jammers through. And there you see that triangle holds her up for quite a bit of time, but it's going to be Helsinki lead jam.
Peggy Spear to the penalty box for Sydney.
Oh, Mayu, nice job. She's going to squeeze through the front, too. All she needed was a little daylight and a shoulder to get in there. She can openers it. That's another 5 points.
Sarah Ekholm to the penalty box for Helsinki.
Shakram looking for her first scoring pass.
I like that Helsinki is going to continue to push this despite the fact that Sydney is going to put points on the board this jam.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. They have that much confidence in their defense. And there you have it. She's going to work the outside on her tiptoes, but Mayu's going to pull another 5 points. That will be 4.
Clockwise block down in turn 3. That is going to go against the captain, Slayer Kinney.
There we see the Assassins defense do a nice job. And they're gonna knock Mayu out of bounds. She's gonna call off the jam. Both teams will pull points on that one. And on a 17-4 run, we are at 39-8 Helsinki.
31 points picked up so far in 2 jams by Malu.
Mayu Rene. And Rene Up against that triangle up at the front. Again, Sydney really pretty adept at using that defense.
Brad Pitt struggling against the back of the pack, jamming for Sydney.
As Brad Pitt hits the 3-wall at the back, they squeeze her like a Venus flytrap.
Renee looking to add to the 4 points she picked up in an earlier jam.
And there you see Renee doing a nice job of hitting that wall hard enough to split up the brace. She's going to get through for another 5.
Slayer Kenny receiving the star pass for Sydney.
Brad Pitt trying to help Kenny through, but they're not going to get by Janica Saxline.
Renee at the front of the pack now being drawn. No, excuse me, that was a completion of a 4-point scoring pass.
As Renee up to the front of that, very patient.
Slayer Kinney struggling with the back of the pack. Left to go this all alone right now.
And Renee's going to finally work herself through.
Helsinki is losing Janica Saxline to the box. And that jam ends. $16-4, it appears, is going to be the score in that jam, favoring Helsinki.
Number 24, Kujala going to step up for Helsinki. She's going to be up against number 4. That's Murder Maid. Sydney Assassins need to try to put some points up on the board right now, and Murder Maid almost looking like she's going to get around the back side of that defense, but they're able to work it from inside line to outside line, giving her really nothing. In the meantime, Sydney putting up the same defensive fight.
Saxline out of the penalty box for Helsinki.
And there we see Janica Saxline come through, try to give her jammer some help.
Sarah Ekholm to the penalty box for Helsinki.
And there we go, an important lead jam for Sydney. Helsinki right now just out of the box.
Nina Urwez to the penalty box for Helsinki. Jam called off by Sydney. 4 more points on that jam. After being held scoreless for the first 4 jams, Sydney has scored 4 points in each of the last 4 jams.
Yeah, this is one of those games where if the defense can contain, they can manage to scratch and claw back into this. Once again, defense really all weekend long has played quite well. It's just a matter of flipping that switch from defense to offense at times, as the jammers have really struggled.
Taru Saxline jamming for Helsinki. Opposite Chakram for Sydney.
And we see Saxline right now, as Taru is your lead jammer.
Nice move on the outside. And a track cut penalty for Helsinki on that. That is going to send Sarah Ekholm back to the penalty box.
And Chakram going to get through on another pass. That'll be 5 points.
9 points so far this jam.
Taru Saxline finally going to get past the hips of Need for Swede.
Again, Helsinki continuing to push the pace. Ekholm out of the box for Helsinki.
I tell you, Taru, diminutive in stature, but as tenacious as a dog to raw meat. She's always a pleasure to watch.
Still a 5-point advantage to Sydney in this jam. That may be negated on this scoring pass, though.
Need for Swede doing a nice job of trying to hold her up. She knows that she approaches the end of the zone of engagement. She lets her go.
Chakram had 2 easy passes through really struggling on this third scoring pass.
Taru that time knifes her way through the back. She's going to get caught up front. And at that point, the jam comes to an end.
Your final score in that jam appears to be 15-13 in favor of Helsinki. Score on the board 70-29. 15 minutes, 45 seconds left in the first half.
Their hammer is approaching. They're just creating enough space between the two packs.
Sydney right now has to be quite happy with their offensive output. It's something that's been stagnant throughout the weekend, as we've mentioned, but it's come to life here in the last 8 jams or so. Malu right now out there for Helsinki, and we've got number 89 out there, Brad Pitt. That 2-wall becomes a 3-wall, but that doesn't matter. It's going to be Brad Pitt through anyway. She's your lead jammer. Malu totally caught at the back. She tries to swing and a miss at Brad Pitt. She misses. Pitt's going to go around the outside. She is untouched. And another 5 points.
Stout defense by this Sydney blocker lineup out on the track. Pivot to the penalty box for Helsinki, number 257, Vega.
And that Brad Pitt just powers through inside the second turn. She hits the triangle. Didn't look like she had any chance at all. Puts those legs and those feet to work. 5 more points.
Sarah Ekholm back to the penalty box, and then a late penalty coming in on that jam. Latikainen being sent to the penalty box for Helsinki.
And there we have one of the most impressive, important runs for Sydney on the weekend. Very well done by Brad Pitt.
27 points in the last 2 jams for Sydney.
As Mermaid's going to step up, as is Rene. Both jammers going to be recycled. Rene is going to decide to engage. Nice wall collapses nicely on Rene as it looked like she had open space. But she will work herself through. She will be your lead jammer.
Failure to reform penalty goes against Sydney. That number 88, Minky.
Murder Maid struggling with the rear triangle. They're going to try and bridge that. Sydney's going to try and bridge. It's not, they're going to have to let Rennie go anyway.
Star pass to number 71, Need for Swede from Sydney.
Need for Swede, very consistent game all weekend long, very impressive. But Need for Swede right now in the need of a little help, and she's going to get that in the form of number 88. That's going to be Minky.
Completion of a 5-point scoring pass for Helsinki.
Juicy Vengeance and Minky trying to get their jammer through, now trying to keep Rennie back. But as you and I both know, Mike, if you're going to hit those, if you're going to offensively block, you got to hit it hard. You can't go in and just make yourself known.
You are absolutely right. Need for Swede picking up 4 points on that last scoring pass for Sydney. Jam 18-4 in favor of Helsinki.
Just under 12 minutes left to play in the first half.
Shakram going to step up for Sydney, as is number 24, Kujala. Kujala gets over around the outside, man. It looks like somebody stepped on a packet of ketchup. She just squirts into the first turn. She's your lead jammer.
Amazingly quick lead jammer for Helsinki. And already engaging the back of the pack on a scoring pass. Sydney's through the pack clear on the initial.
And Helsinki going to take the 4 hit, quit.
First 4 points for Kujala this bout.
Wow.
Game.
Taking line for Sydney, and we'll see Taru Saxlin start again for
Taru Saxlin going to step up this time around. Yes, we have 2 Saxlins. Janica Taru, our mates.
Nice persistence on the outside by Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt really showing some extra life all of a sudden in this game, coming into her own. This is the second hard jam that she has had. She fights it through one more time for lead jam, second time in a row.
Out of play penalty will send Kamari to the penalty box for Helsinki.
Taru is through the back. Look at that, Brad Pitt. She's going to make the 4-point run. She's going to call it off.
4 points is Brad. And we got a timeout.
Team timeout for Sydney. First team timeout this bout.
I tell you, Mike, it's always fun to see Helsinki play. Not only are they a great team, but I think if you go all the way back to the very first World Cup in 2011, if somebody would have told you that Finland was going to be the 5th place finisher, you would have said, get out of here. Who skates in Finland? I can't believe they have a team. And yet Team Finland, the national team, always a perennial threat. Finland filled with very good teams.
Before the Big O on Thursday.
Helsinki Roller Derby is just one of at least 3 or 4 leagues that are ready to, that can do damage inside the WFTDA.
Well, it's nice that the Big O is a tournament that a lot of these teams feel like they can come to. They're going to get a number of bouts against high-level ranked WFTDA opponents. This is a great opportunity for them, and honestly for us,
oh yeah,
great opportunity for us.
No, absolutely.
Murder Maid returning to the jam line for Sydney, opposite number 22, Kujala.
Right now, everything is looking like the trash compactor scene from Star Wars. But Murder Maid looking to drive through. Malu is going to finally get through. And she will be your lead jammer.
Murder Maid looked to pass the star, thought better of it when she found her own opening on the outside of the first apex.
And Malu, there's points for Malu. That's going to be 5.
Big jammer recycle there by Helsinki. Dragging Murder Maid all the way back from the exit of turn 2 to the entrance of turn 1.
Malu up against that front 2 wall. That's low blow Oreo. Low blow Oreo, another one we've not talked enough about. Very consistent this weekend. Absolute menace up at the front of the pack.
Minky to the penalty box on a back block penalty.
And they are just going to town on Malu. She's finally got a little bit of help, but so far the front 2 able to contain both the help and the jammer, and there goes Malu. She's finally going to complete her second pass.
That was a great move by Slayer Kinney. Direction of play penalty. That is going to send 1957 Peggy Spew to the penalty box for Sydney.
Also,
And a late direction of play penalty looks to send Sala Karjalainen to the penalty box for Helsinki.
Mike and I having a little bit of a laugh just before this game, as Helsinki will play 2x4 or dos por cuatro later on, which is the equivalent of an AP test for announcers and pronunciations as we get going here. Number 39, Mayurene. Oh, and she's going to be assessed a track cut very, very quickly in turn 1. And Lee Jam going to go to the Assassins, specifically number 288, Shakram.
Bob, that is only the second jammer penalty we have seen so far this game, and there is your third happening in the same jam.
The announcer's curse. So with the jammer do-si-do, we're going to see number 39, Renee, come back out. And Sydney wisely going to speed up the pack. They must have felt they were approaching the 20-foot zone of engagement limit as they end up letting Rennie go.
Both jammers on a scoring pass. Minky reporting to the penalty box for Sydney.
We're going to see the Assassins bridge us out as far as they think they can. Up against the 20 feet, they let her go.
The problem with bridging out so far is it takes so long to go back and play offense for your jammer that's usually stranded way back at the back of the pack.
Absolutely. It also takes a couple of players really out of position to play. And Mayurene right now just dancing out there with Need for Speed until she's able to get around. That's 5 more.
Now that 5-point scoring pass did take a while for Rennie to complete. Irwis to the penalty box on a forearm penalty. And our 2 minutes complete now. 11-4. That's how that jam shook out in favor of Helsinki.
All things considered, I think Sydney's got to be really happy with this. The offensive success is just something they've been searching for. In 2 games yesterday, it could not find. And today are really showing signs of life. Brad Pitt at the heart of it. She's going to step up one more time. And she's going to go up against Taru Saxaline.
Brad Pitt, 18 points so far this game. Saxaline with 19.
And Pitt has not really been heavy in the rotation, but she has been the most successful at getting through. That's, I believe is that 3 jams for her, Mike?
I believe so, yes.
And her 3rd lead jam. Nice little spin move. She feels like she might have stepped out of bounds. She calls off the jam. She's going to pull 4.
Sorry about that. You were right. It was her 3rd lead jam, 6th jam overall, so she's running at 50% right now, but she has been a bright spot for Sydney, and we have an official review being called by Helsinki.
And I think maybe they're going to question whether or not Pitt may have committed a cut track infraction before she called off the jam.
So, if you like the after party and I do, tonight Saturday, the all
117-59, your score. 4 minutes, 30 seconds left in the first half. Helsinki using their official review. They still have all 3 team timeouts. Sydney has used 1 team timeout, but still has their official review this half.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that now they don't have to walk up at the end of the game and create a reason to use that official.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad when they get used during the course of gameplay and a half.
I tell you, Mike, I don't know if there's any officiating situation that's got to be any more uncomfortable than a review in roller derby. Because of all the technology, all they can do is stand around their peers, ask them to think back to 3 minutes ago, and think really hard.
I was there last night. They did over that
Come over and give us an official announcement.
Sydney was remaining in the jam looking for a cut to track number 3 jammer. No call was handed to the jammer as toe stops were on the line.
All right, so the official review looking for a track cut call on the opposing jammer. Referees conferred. Toe stop stayed on the line in bounds. The no call will stand.
Murder Maid going to step up against Kujala. Sorry.
Opposed by Kujala for once again a light pack for Sydney.
Very light pack, 3-2 pack advantage for Helsinki, and they take advantage. Quick lead, jammer.
Yeah, she's able to jostle Need for Speed out of the way and is already approaching on her scoring run, and that is no problem at all. Inside lane wide open. She's going to take the 4 points, call it off, protect the lead.
That brings their point total to 121 to Sydney's 59, just inside 4 minutes left to play in this half. Chakram back out to the jam line for Sydney. Opposite number 22, Malu.
Oh, Malu's going to swing her hips to the outside. It's going to put Need for Speed in a situation. Oh! She's going to get the forearm call trying to stave off Need for Speed. In the meantime,
power jam opportunity for Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney trying to complete a star pass. And right now, all we see is arms. So there's a helmet cover in there somewhere, folks.
Nice job of Need for Speed screening on the outside, providing her jammer some offense.
Yeah, she's very, very perceptive. Like the way that she gets back and forth on the track.
Great penalty kill by Helsinki.
As Malu now back into play.
No lead jammer this jam. We are going the full 2 minutes.
And Chakram right now, the one donning the star for the Assassins.
Back block penalty. And that is going to send Chakram to the penalty box.
And Malu out there on a power jam. Helsinki right now with the opportunity. Trying to put another 5 or 10 points up. Sydney Assassins defense seems to get stiffer and stiffer as the game goes by. And they've had Malu's number in particular. Ability to pull lead jams but not put a lot of points up.
Need for Speed and Juicy Vengeance, great tandem at the front of the pack. Carry line into the penalty box for Helsinki.
Oh, Need for Speed, nicely done. She's going to prevent yet another full scoring pass.
Brings her point total to 18 for the game, 125 to 59. Inside a minute, 15 seconds left to play in the first half.
And we've got an official review this time. It's going to be for Sydney.
Really curious. Any idea what this might be for? Are they maybe looking for an extra point that wasn't awarded, or?
I don't know, Mike. I mean, you and I have both been in situations where we've done some coaching, and generally speaking, it's not worth fighting for a point.
Okay, I've got a thought. When Chakram went to the penalty box, I thought that Chakram had completed the initial pass, and when Chakram came out of the penalty box and went through the pack, no points were awarded. So it looks like 4 points are going to be awarded to Sydney on that review challenge.
So this becomes 2 official reviews, announcers correct both times.
And importantly for Sydney, they retain their official review for the short remainder of the first half.
Yep.
So
Yeah, both each team having used an official review, each team. I'm sorry, actually Helsinki not getting what they wanted out of theirs, and there's Taru Saxling out there one more time, and there we go. She's through the pack quickly. I believe that's going to be Brad Pitt.
4th lead jam in a row, actually, for Brad Pitt.
And they're able to screen Helsinki to the inside, giving her an outside lane. An easy 5 points.
Taru to the penalty box for Helsinki. Power jam for Sydney.
And Brad Pitt on those toe stops keeps those legs moving. I tell you, she had her Wheaties this morning because she's got more fight out there today than we saw out of the 2 games she played yesterday. She's been very impressive.
10 points already this jam, looking for more. Taru out of the penalty box, back on the track for Helsinki. Taru, great side-to-side movement for Helsinki. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, she...
Oh, but a nice exit hit up front by Need for Swede.
Yeah, Need for Swede. That's almost her bread and butter right there. She then goes back to help contain her in the 3-wall.
Excellent job of communication by Icy Red. Wanted the blockers to let Helsinki's jammer go up a little bit farther so she could go play offense.
And that is part of the learning process. When you come to a tournament like this, see so many different teams, and pick up on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, and learning from your opponent.
End of a really great half for Brad Pitt. A 15-point jam brings her total to 37 of her team's 78 points. Your score on the board, 125-78. We might be having an end-of-half OR, and if that is the case, we'll bring it back to you as soon as we can with the second half.
22 penalties for Helsinki, 18 for Sydney. And in the couple right now for Sydney, Mickey with 5 penalties, Sarah Kinney with 4. On the Helsinki side, Sarah Nicole, the only person in the total for the green. She's sitting on 5.
All right, fans, you are rejoining us here on track 2 featuring Sydney opposite Helsinki. And our second half now underway. Taru jamming for Helsinki and Brad Pitt jamming for Sydney.
Taru able to find space quite easily on the inside. She is through very, very quickly. In the meantime, Brad Pitt now through the pack. Taru looking to juke outside. Able to sell it, cut back inside. Find some room on the inside of turn 2. She's going to call off the jam, take the 4 points. And in a game that started out looking like Helsinki was going to potentially run with it, Sydney putting up an offensive stance of their own. Helsinki not really able to take some of the chances that they might have done in the first half.
Helsinki 22 total penalties in the first half. Sydney had 18. 4 jammer penalties for Helsinki. 2 jammer penalties for Sydney. We've got an official timeout down on the track.
And it is not true.
And Looks like there might have been an illegal procedure for a failure to report.
Looking like doing whistle and which, by the way,
And we've got the whistle. Jam's going to start. Right now, it's excuse me. That's going to be Malu out there, as well as number 4. That's Murder Maid for the Sydney Assassins. Sydney Assassins in the black and red. Helsinki in the yellow and green.
Malu out with lead jammer, leading all scorers with 49 points in the first half.
And Malu going to get through the back of the defense, but they're going to recycle to the front. Babel only going to be able to hold her up for a moment. And she'll take that last 4 points, call the jam off.
133 to 78, your score on the board. Just underway here in the second half. So some other numbers here in the first half for you. We mentioned that Malu had 49 points in the first half, as did Mayu Renee. Both of them had 49 points, and then Taro had 19 for Helsinki.
And we can start one more time. We have Chakram out there. And she is caught in the back in a 3-wall by Helsinki. Up front, we've got number 39. That's going to be Maru Rene. And Rene does a nice job of driving herself through the front 2 blockers, splitting them apart, and she'll be your lead jammer.
Nina Urwez to the penalty box on a forearm penalty. Going to be joined by Juicy Vengeance for Sydney.
Chakram through the pack. Rene looking to the sidelines. Coach is going to tell them to go ahead and speed it up. They're not going to pick up on that fast enough. But they're going to keep the jammer going.
Kamari to the penalty box for Helsinki.
So Chakram going to get through with her 4 points scored. But Rene going to be through on her second pass.
3-3 in the pack.
Chakram going to look for room on the outside. Nothing there. Rene down to need for Swede, who's been a menace the entire game, but she's going to be able to get by her that time.
Another 4-point scoring pass for Helsinki.
And right now, Helsinki's coach letting the defense go ahead and do its job is paying off, as we have yet another pass and a full grand slam this time.
Low down, hoedown to the penalty box for Sydney.
And this is turning into a big jam for Helsinki with both jammers out on the track. That's another full pass. With 5 more, she's already run 22
Net
to
of
4
8.
of Sydney.
Wow, 22 to 8. The difference up there in that jam. Helsinki now 155, Sydney 86, and we've got a timeout being called by Sydney.
Sydney feeling pretty good about what was going on as they entered halftime. They come out. This is a jam that they really didn't want to see happen. Second time that Helsinki's coaching staff has given the go-ahead for the jammer to complete the 2 minutes, even though they had lead jam and another jammer on the track. Both times they have paid off.
Well, Chakram can definitely put points on the board for Sydney. There's no question about that. It's just that these Sydney blockers seem to have more trouble containing Helsinki's jammers for prolonged periods of time than the opposite.
No, you're absolutely right. They're able to hold them up for that 5 to 10 seconds, but they can't kill a penalty. Not long enough to be able to kill a penalty anyway. As we hear the whistles, we're going to get going one more time. This time Kujala going to step up against number 89, Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt, who's been the most successful jammer.
Kujala 8
Sydney
points.
Assassins.
Sorry, Kujala 8 points in the first half. Helsinki just able to get their jammers to the front of the pack more quickly a majority of the time.
This is the first time Brad Pitt has really been up against a lot of resistance. As we see her drop her first lead jam opportunity.
Brad Pitt forced to reset in the back. Star off the helmet now for Sydney.
Janica Saxeline going to come in and try and lend some offensive help, and now bridge. And now it just becomes a matter of when we hit 20 feet out.
Nice bridge in between, keeping both portions in play. A nice blocker rotation by Sydney at the front of the pack as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. All four blockers out there.
Successfully staving off the offense, and what that did was it allowed the pack to constrict back in turn 4.
Now things open up, and she's going to have some space to work with. And they're going to get out to the 20-foot zone of engagement mark. They're going to have to let her go. Kujala back through. She's already passed one. Looking to pull the full pass. Once again, wedge in the middle. Look at that. Brad Pitt comes right up the middle of her own triangle defense. Looking to surprise with some points.
Wow.
But it's going to be a 10-0 run.
Yep. Wow.
And Taylor Saxeline going to step up one more time for Helsinki, as is number 4, the Murder Maid.
Table and you a $1 shout out.
Murder Maid, don't think that was the Disney version of the movie. As Murder Maid plays her on the outside, and she is through the first turn.
First lead jammer for Sydney this half.
Taru Saxeline caught in a jumble of her own blockers as well as the blockers of Sydney. She is obviously right in the wake of Murder Maid, and Murder Maid going to try and pull a couple of points.
Big collision down in turn 2.
Murder Maid not getting up.
Official timeout called down on the track.
And
looks like
she sits and stands.
Yeah, it just looked like she was taking a couple seconds to recover there.
Yeah.
Up on her own and skating quickly back to her team bench area. And it does look like that was a back block penalty assessed at the end of that jam on that hit. Sydney going to start this next jam with their jammer in the penalty box.
Welcome to America.
As they try to sort this out, I look at our timing official and I wonder, is he 10 feet tall or does it just look that way? I think he's on stilts.
Maybe it's just the forced perspective of where we're at, but we can see him above everyone else. You are very right about that.
I'm pretty sure those are just really tiny shoes. I think they're stilts.
To make sure the skater is okay after that momentary potential injury. So she'll be replaced by Chakram in the penalty box.
All right, so Chakram is going to replace Murder Maid in the penalty box.
So Murder Maid is going to...
Because we went to an official timeout, she does need to be subbed out for. That means she will sit for 3 jams.
And she does stroll over to the EMTs and have a conversation. Though she doesn't look to be in... She doesn't show us any signs of physical pain.
So that's That's no contest.
Actually, I suppose it could be concussion protocol. As we get started here right now, we got 22 Malu out there, and she's going to be out there on a power start for Helsinki, and she is trying to move her way through the front too.
Oh, and a high block penalty.
And I tell you, she does have some height. She slides up a little bit. Almost every time that happens, it's just incidental, but at the same time needs to be enforced.
Chakram now out of the penalty box on the track for Sydney, working on the initial pass. Remember, she taking the place of Murder Maid, who was injured in the previous jam.
Chakram stuck behind the triangle defense. She's got help, but they're not. There we go. There was some effective hits in there, but nothing that sprung her free. Blockers then recollapse, and Goat, one of the Helsinki blockers, as we see Malu back out on the track.
Direction of play penalty. That is going to go against number 5, Chu Hacker.
Need for Speed. I think we could call her name every time somebody comes around. She's had that kind of weekend.
Bump to the inside, now going to play offense. However, Helsinki takes advantage. Quick 5-point scoring pass.
Malu with a whole lot of open space in front of her. Sydney going to speed things up. And that'll be the end of the jam.
Called off the jam just a hair too early. Was unable to free Chu Hacker, who probably has under 1 second left to serve.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Mike, for all that activity, 9 points was the payoff, but it sure wasn't what they had hoped for.
No, you are absolutely right about that. Amazing to look up and see that few points put up on the board in that jam.
Right now we've got number 39 out there. That's going to be Maya Rene. She's going to be up against Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, 37 points so far this game.
Rene's got the lead jam. And she's got the blocking right now. For the moment, they're going to focus on her, on trying to break her free. Oh, look at that. She's just going to get a hip out there. Catch Brad Pitt. It's going to fall to the inside. Right now, there's bodies dropping on the front stretch.
Renee, though, staying in bounds. 5-point scoring pass.
Brad Pitt's going to be recycled. Renee, in the meantime, just very patiently pushing, driving, angling those shoulders in between those jammers, trying to find a hole. Little offensive help comes her way. She finds a gap, but they pick her up again. Again, need for Swede.
I enjoy out of the penalty box offense.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to watch.
Yep, I agree. The sport has progressed an awful lot in being able to, and being aware of that
Has
the last couple of years. Used to be a given pass.
Packs entrenching themselves in the far straightaway.
Brad Pitt right now, the body language is starting to read tired.
That's a lot of fighting against opposition defense. 4-point scoring pass cleared.
And there we see Rennie one more time. Got one more to get by. That's going to be a nice hip check. He's going to knock her out of bounds. She's going to call that jam off. But you're right, Mike. We've made a very significant transition the way this game is played. It used to be a much more. The game was much more about speed, and now it's become so much more about strength, of which stamina and your physical ability to move people is so important.
Yeah.
It's got to be exhausting when nothing moves, because you know how much pressure is being exerted by everybody that's part of that.
Well, I think some point At some point, it was said that the skaters seem to have muscles on muscles now.
Yeah, yep. Well, the upper body has become such an important part of the game.
So our score on the board now, 193-95, 17 minutes, 58 seconds left in this second half. And some of this amazing action has been brought to you by Rydell Skates, proud sponsors of the Big O. Power 9 has changed the game again. Be sure to check out the newly redesigned Arias Platinum Plate. Arias Platinum, performance redefined.
Stepping up to the line for Helsinki, we have Koala. And number 288 is Chakram for the Sydney Assassins.
Sydney has picked up 3 lead jammers in a row.
Chakram on the track as rejoins.
Chakram with some help, but that help not able to split up the 3-wall that she's trying to get through. Meantime, Need for Speed up against mano a mano against Koala, and Koala going to win that fight eventually.
Yannicka Soxelin and Chakram each to the penalty box.
And with a power jam, Koala's going to get through. She's going to call it off. Don't think she realized she had a power jam. In many ways, power start probably doesn't make it that much of a loss. As Teru Saxeline steps up one more time.
The 5 points picked up on that jam runs Helsinki's total to 198 to Sydney's 95.
Now Sydney takes the pivot line and see how Helsinki plays this one.
Helsinki looked absolutely ready to spring an attack on that end.
And Teru Saxeline dancing.
Oh.
But she's going to get called for a cut track.
This is the 4th jammer penalty this half.
Yeah, what's been a relatively clean game out of them. Chakram, that'll put her back on the track. And looked like she had some help on the inside. She decides to cut it outside.
Low blow Oreo to the penalty box for Sydney.
And Cavalry comes through, but once again, they got to hit them hard, not just push them all together.
Yeah, the slow plodding pack really favoring Helsinki right now. Sydney having a hard time moving the blockers out of the way. Forearm penalty leveled against Nina Irwes.
With a nice spin as she swings that right foot around backwards and it does not touch the inside of the track. But that time, Vega going to catch her with a hip check, knock her out of bounds, and that's going to be the end of that jam.
No points for anybody in that jam. Your score still 198 to 95, but we now have 15 minutes, 20 seconds left in the half.
Malu up against Murder Maid. Malu for Helsinki in the gold and green.
Good to see Murder Maid back out on the track after the after she was checked on by the medics earlier.
Murder Maid forces the inside, tries to find something on the outside. Once again.
We're going to see Murder Maid forced to the inside to recycle. Malu fighting Need for Speed. No surprise there.
And what a push she was giving. Going to be recycled further back now. Nice jump by Juicy Vengeance.
Nina Irwes trying to take Juicy Vengeance off of her jammer.
And again, another force out on the far side of the track, this time courtesy of Peggy Spew.
Yeah, Peggy Spew, quite the menace. When she can keep herself out of penalty trouble, Need for Speed again up front. She uses her height to leverage herself. And eventually Malu's going to get through. Murder Maid has gotten through the pack, has put up a point. She's going to come in sideways, hoping to grab something out of that, and they're going to indicate that nothing was scored.
Timeout being called by Helsinki. Sydney's coach out to question whether or not the hips had gotten past the hips of the opposing defenders in the back of the pack. Really wants those 2 points. And it would be 3 with 1 in the box, but I don't think he's getting them. And it doesn't.
We appreciate your concern, but so sorry.
Well, the nice thing is that he didn't have to fit that conversation into the 30 seconds between jams, given that we're on a team timeout.
Yeah.
That is Helsinki's first team timeout. Score on the board 198-95. 13:54 left in the game.
And I'll tell you, Mike, it comes as such a huge surprise that any skater would question that they shouldn't have gotten more points. That just never happens.
Never seen that before.
No. Coach, I'm sure I got one more point on that. Take a timeout. That never happens.
Twice the rate of boys. So we're trying to prevent that. Go over receiving. She will tell you all about this wonderful program.
And Rennie out there against Brad Pitt.
For Sydney.
As we've seen all day, a triangle defense at the front, triangle defense at the back. This time it's going to be Rennie, though. That's going to be able to conquer that quicker. Brad Pitt threw not too much farther behind. Going to ride in the wake of Rennie. And we will see if Rennie decides to call it off or tries to pull the points. She's going to get knocked to the inside of the track as Brad Pitt to the outside track. Rennie is going to get the back block. And so there's the one time they didn't call it, that it backfired.
Third jammer penalty in 7 jams for Helsinki.
But right now, Brad Pitt just not looking like she's got the same steam built up in that body. They're tiring her out.
Goat pen in the back, 6:04 being kept. That's Sarah Ekholm.
And we're going to see two hackers set up to try and keep Rennie from coming back out of the track and doing what she just did, which is clearing that without any problem with a full 5 points.
True hacker back to the penalty box for Sydney. Nice jammer force out there by Brad Pitt.
With no lead jammer here, this could go on.
Unfortunately, this is not doing a lot for Sydney right now. They need points. They need points for rankings as well.
No, you're absolutely right, Mike. In fact, this is really quite foolish because in the end, all that they do is kill more time, and that's time. Time is not on their side as it is.
I suppose unless the thought is that maybe the point differential will be lesser with less time on the clock than it would be with more. 3 points picked up at the end of that jam by Sydney, and we now have an official review being called by Helsinki.
Sydney would probably be ranked from the large difference between their ranking number 16 for Sydney or 48 for Sydney. So having time go off the clock with no points taken on the board may help them on the walk-run stretch.
Bob, Maya Renee has 95 points in this game so far.
Yeah, she's had a tremendous second half. She seems to be a greater part of the rotation than she was in the first half of the game.
Yeah, did well in the first half. 49 points in the first half, 46 already here in the second half, and we've still got over 11 and a half minutes left.
I think we call that a good day at the office.
Yeah, no kidding. 44 points in total for Brad Pitt, leading all of Sydney's scorers.
Sydney's still having fun, and that's always the most important thing. They're out there dancing around because they've taken their knocks this weekend. But as we see in every tournament, every game they get a little bit better, a little bit better. This is by far the best game they've played.
Green was questioning the back structure as they assessed it was gradual, but it was against derby direction. There's no gradual when it's against derby direction. It's always instruction.
All right, Helsinki looking for they were looking for the pack destruction penalty to be revoked or overturned, as it were. Their argument was that the pack was gradually stringing itself out. However, it was stringing itself out in the direction opposite of gameplay, and thus the call will not be overturned.
They were not going in the 1-2 direction.
That official review brought to you in part by Radar Wheels. The Big O is proudly sponsored by the Radar Halo. Pick up a set of Halos today and see what you have been missing. That's Radar Wheels. That's Kujala out on the jam line for Helsinki.
Yeah, she's out there with Chakram one more time. Chakram has had a lot of repetitions, heavy into the jammer rotation for Sydney.
33 points in the game for Chakram.
Koala. Oh. And again, you can't say it enough times, the need for Swede. Absolutely in her face. She's going to finally spin around her. She's going to get through the pack. She is your lead jammer.
Chakram now clear of the pack on the initial pass for Sydney. Had stashed the star.
And Koala's going to then call that off.
3 points on that jam. Excuse me, 4 points on that jam.
Stepping up the line this time, we have Taru Saxaline up against Murder Maid.
207 to 98, your score. 10 minutes, 40 seconds left to play.
Taru jumping between the two Sydney blockers and actually hanging from their shoulders for just a split second. After she gets her feet back on the ground, she clears the pack very quickly. She's your lead jammer.
That is not something you see every game. Holy cow.
It's not. For sure, Mermaid, she's really being harassed by number 91.
Yeah, forced out of turn one, forced to reset once again. Looked like we had a quick recycle at the front well.
I'm sorry, that's 94. That's Kimari.
Well, it is at the point on the track furthest from our table.
Now that, and I use an abacus most of the time.
Real struggle at the front of the pack. Helsinki looking for the completion of the scoring pass, and they get it. 5-point grand slam. Taru. Sydney still working on the initial pass. Star in a hand for Murder Maid.
Yeah, Taru going to get through another time. A little different scheme this time around as Helsinki drops one of the blockers into an offensive blocking position. She's just been setting up positional blocks.
Star has been passed to the pivot Slayer Kennedy, who did score 4 points in the first half for Sydney. Was unable to score any in this one, though.
21 to 98 for Sydney. We've got just under 9 minutes remaining in this game. Once again, Helsinki ranked number 16 in the world. Sydney ranked number 40.
Nice 14-point jam for Helsinki.
Yeah, Helsinki being ranked number 16. Of course, the new WFTDA rankings coming out just yesterday. They jumped 6 positions. And I tell you, we are just jam-packed with very highly ranked teams here this weekend. Very fortunate, as we're going to see Helsinki take the lead jam one more time, as that is Malu, who's out in front.
Third lead jam in a row for Helsinki.
Of course, she's got to get into that 3-wall. That's going to be need for Swede. You see number 5, 2-hacker, peel off, try to bridge, and they get outside the zone of engagement. They're going to have to let her go. In the meantime, Brat Pitt stashes the star, comes back through. She has now completed her initial pass. And Malu on the scoring pass is going to pull 3. That's a 3-0 run. Helsinki.
8 points overall in the jam, runs her point total to 70 this game. 229 for Helsinki, 98 for Sydney.
For Sydney.
And Renee up against Shakram. And Rennie thought she found a little room on the inside that closes up in a hurry. Take her chances to the outside. And right now it's just going to be a battle of wills up front. In the back, Shakram facing the same situation, except she's got a little help from Slayer Kinney.
A recycle now of Renee.
And there we have it. Shakram, she's not going to have lead jam. There's going to be no pass to the penalty.
Helsinki picking up lead jammer and calling it off before any points could be put on the board.
On to thank Laughing Planet, locally sourced bowls, salads, burritos, and more. 2 unique locations at 760.
As intense as the blocking has been, you take a look at Helsinki and they always look fresh. This team has always been so physically prepared to play.
Well, and they don't look like the physicality of this game has taken it out of them at all.
No, not at all. And there's a core of players in this team that have been together for a number of years, and that always makes a big difference as we see the lead jam come through for Helsinki, and that is going to be, of course, number 24, Kuala.
Helsinki seemingly scoring near at will here in this second half.
Kuala, nice job right there. Gets herself sideways so she can fit through the gap on the inside of turn 3. She'll call that off.
Nickel and diming and burning time off the clock.
That was a 5-0 run. Teru Saxelin going to step back in again. She's had a lot of rotations.
Yeah, both of these jammers on the track now seemingly in extremely high rotation for their respective squads.
Teru being a part of that rotation. Brad Pitt, I think, earning the extra time in the first half. She was very explosive at the start of this game. Brad Pitt right now stuck. Teru Saxelin is not only your lead jammer, but she's working on her first full pass. Nice little juke there. Teru Saxelin just has amazing lateral movement and footwork. And because of her size being so diminutive, she's her center of gravity is just so well placed. She's very hard to stop.
Sydney going to not put any points on the board again. This is the 7th jam in a row that they have been held scoreless.
Helsinki will play Dos por Cuatro tomorrow. We expect that to be an absolute barn burner, as 2x4 or Dos por Cuatro played Windy City down to the last jam, had led most of the game and lost by 5.
And maybe a little bit of a controversial finish there. There was definitely a lot of action in that final jam.
Well, there was a lot of jammers in and out of the box during that time.
And a lot of blockers in and out of the pack.
Yeah.
You get a chance, go back and watch that last jam. It's pretty interesting. Multiplayer block whistled down in turn 1.
And then
carry a line into the penalty box.
Number 22, Malu, who's got 5 points. And then there we see Need for Speed going to get past the star. Need for Speed, very capable of scoring points. They're going to call that jam off, prevent her from doing so.
8-point jam again for Helsinki. Really cashing in on those multi-pass scoring situations.
And Mike, I think this is a game where Helsinki has just simply taken Sydney to its physical limit. Sydney really probably learning when you work your way up to the status that they're in, which is a tremendous achievement. There's such a big jump, as we talked about earlier. between being number 48 or 50 and being 30th or 25th. And there's a big jump from being 25th to being in the top 5.
Right.
And so the level of commitment to the amount of physical conditioning involved is just something that winds up having to ramp itself up pretty considerably. And I think if there's been any real noticeable difference between those two teams, that's probably been the biggest.
Well, and you talked about the fact that that Helsinki seemingly doesn't look winded. This may be a team that is very well prepared for a multi-bout or a multi-game tournament weekend setting.
Oh, yeah. No, there's not any question. This is a team that plays a lot of these. Scandinavia being quite active with tournaments.
That does seem to be the way to go now.
Yeah.
And a lead jammer for Sydney. Murder Maid.
And Murder Maid, nice duck under on the outside of turn 1. Murder Maid showing some nice moves.
In a power jam situation now, Mayu Renee in the penalty box.
To the infield by Karjalainen. Koskinen out of the box, going to try and help out this defense. Kamari on the outside.
Oh, nice positional blocking right there. And that's really all that needed to be done a number of times throughout the game.
A great offense on the inside. Where was that earlier?
Yeah, exactly. A nice seal block. Took a 3-wall and totally pinned it to the outside of the track. Mermaid did get dropped that time by number 257, which is Vega.
Oh, and a track cut penalty. Wow, 2 jammer penalties in the same jam.
Now Sydney getting, after being ranked from 6 minutes, they're getting a big jam right now, double power jam.
Sydney really able to put some points on the board this jam, 15 so far.
Oh, man. Did somebody get the number of that truck?
Yeah, I think it might have been number 90 at the front of the pack, Karjalainen.
Boy.
That was a wall to run into.
We are no longer in a day where skating backwards and blocking is the danger we thought it would be, as Karjalainen she just drops Murder Maid like a 3-foot putt in the second turn. And there we go. On the outside, it's going to be lead jam for Sydney. That's going to be Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt about the only thing moving on the track till just about now.
Well, as we talked about earlier, Brad Pitt been extremely active all game long for Sydney.
I think it comes down to the end of the game. She's just got that second wind where she wants to finish on a high note.
On Rennet, all the way through is Rennet after the top 2 jams there.
After being knocked out at turn 2, recovers and completes a 5-point scoring pass.
Score 251 for Helsinki.
And we've got a team timeout, and that's going to be charged to Helsinki.
That means that is their last team timeout. They have no official review left. Sydney has an official review, but no team timeouts left. Only 26 seconds left to go. Your score 251 to 122.
Yep. Taylor Saxaline, she pulls lead jam, and that will be the end of this game for sure.
5 jammer penalties for Helsinki in this second half. Only 2 for Sydney so far. Well, this great bout brought to you in part by Harmony Medical, providing medical services at the Big O. A big thank you to Harmony Medical, and a big shout out to the Big O Tech team and door crew. These folks have been working great all weekend. We appreciate them immensely. Thank you for your continued support and volunteering at the Big O. And Bob, I think this may be our last jam. Chakram out there jamming opposite Taru.
And there we see Taro Saxaline.
Probably injured for a second there, but no, Coach Kitchen is back up quickly. Harley stops the lead hammer.
There you see where she gets so low on the outside of turn number 1. Able to get underneath all the blocks.
2 minutes of this game.
Helsinki not calling it off early. They're going to drain as many points out of this as they can.
Yeah, that would seem to be the strategy. Right now, Sydney's defense doing a nice job of keeping her off the track. Tyra gonna recycle. She's got to come back in. Oh, she finds a little room on the inside. Number 53 going to make sure that with a hip check, Juicy Ventures, that's not going to hold. Need for Swede with the star right now. It's looking to land the apex jump. Unfortunately, Air Swede unable to get the landing gear on the ground. We're sorry your beverage service has been disrupted.
She knocked to the outside of turn 1, forced to reset again. I'm pretty sure she does have points being held for her. Still looking to complete that pass, though.
Soxer looking for down on the outside. Finds a way through. Now both jammers out.
Both jammers out. 5 points picked up for Helsinki, 4 for Sydney. Jam called off, and fans, that is your game.
Yeah, Teru calls that off.
4. And it looks like Helsinki's going to take this one.
We've got a 140-point difference at 266-126. The score is unofficial, but the result will never change.
Sydney with a great showing here against Helsinki, but Helsinki just a little too powerful.
Yeah, though Sydney playing a team that's as difficult to play as anybody they faced all weekend, and doing a much better job of putting up points. So they've got to be pretty happy with the progress. They should be very happy with the progress. Well, and they've had 3 games in, so they may have one more yet tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you're right, and my guess is we'll be seeing both of these teams in the postseason.
Yep. My feeling is we're going to be seeing most of the teams that are here in the postseason.
You are right about that.
And that's the biggest reason not to tune anything out. If you're an MRDA fan, a JRDA fan, a WFTDA fan, everybody's playing to play in the playoffs. You don't want to miss any of it. I'm Bob Noxious.
With Mike Checks, we are signing off on track 2. Make sure you check back in shortly. We'll have the next bout up for you soon.